News this morning, protesters take to the streets across the country and in the Commonwealth after the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. And a Kentucky woman's recovery home begins to pick up the pieces after a devastating fire.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Well, good morning, 4:59. I'm Dakota Makris. I'm good to be back after a week of filling in for Steve, but nothing like being home on Mountain News this morning. Let's take it over to Brandon for a look at our forecast this morning. And Brandon, you can go ahead and admit that you missed me.
Oh, listen, I'll freely admit that. Dakota in the morning was missed. We didn't want Dakota in the evening, we wanted Dakota in the morning. So there you go.
I know many people messaged me, asked me where I was,
That's
what
exactly
I was doing.
right.
I was like, I'll be back Monday, don't worry.
Get back over here where you belong now. Don't be leaving.
Steve can have the evenings. He can have it.
Don't be leaving us for them day walkers now. Come on now. All right, let's get into the forecast this morning. I'm glad to have you back as always. We're going to see some rain out there still this morning as we head into the forecast here. We're seeing a flash flood warning that is still going for parts of Rowan, Elliott, and Morgan counties until 6:30, but the bulk of the rain has moved out. So if you're in that area and you come across some flood water or any eye water anywhere, turn around, don't drown. Again, some spotty to scattered showers still rolling across parts of the region. That's also leading to some fog. We're almost behind the front, not quite yet, but we're almost behind that front. Anything less than 5 miles on this map is pretty dense fog. That includes Moorhead, Jackson, Harlan, and Williamsburg. So continue to be careful out there. It's a patchy fog on my way in this morning. The sensor at Jacksboro and Ashland are out this morning, but generally in the upper 60s to right around 70 in some locations there. 72, Somerset, Monticello, and London are warm spots. 61 in Clintwood, our cool spot this morning. Dew points are still up there, but look at Moorhead. That's where we're headed this afternoon as that cold front continues to roll through. It's going to take those dew points down. It's going to make it feel less humid throughout the day. And then as we get deeper into the day, you'll see temperatures in the low 80s, but not too bad overall as we get behind that front. And we have a couple of days of relief before we see summer return in full force. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, coast to coast during the weekend, protesters nationwide spoke against the Supreme Court's decision Friday to overturn Roe v. Wade. Now in the wake of the ruling reversing the 1973 decision that provided a constitutional right to abortions, states are scrambling to clarify their laws. Naomi Ruckham reports from New York.
From Los Angeles to Cleveland and Huntsville, Alabama. Americans took to the streets nationwide over the weekend following Friday's Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade after nearly half a century.
I feel like I don't have a choice to my own body.
Nobody wants to be stuck in a situation where they're stuck with a pregnancy.
In South Carolina, emotions boiled over, with protesters from both sides of the abortion debate fighting in the streets of Greenville. In Charlotte and around the U.S., abortion rights opponents celebrated the ruling.
For the last 50 years, there's really been a lot of lives lost under a false ruling by the Supreme Court.
At least 13 states have so-called trigger laws that locked new abortion restrictions into place after Roe v. Wade was overturned. Another 13 are likely to restrict access or enact bans soon.
Women are not second-class citizens, and the government is not the one that will decide about the continuation of a pregnancy. You know, there's no equivalent there for men.
What the Supreme Court said was that the Constitution does not give a woman the right to have an abortion.
In apparent defiance of Justice Department guidance issued after the Supreme Court ruling, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem vowed to bar mail-order abortion pills, while saying women should not be punished for seeking them. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Well, here in the Commonwealth, protesters rallied in Pikeville on Sunday to voice their opinions against the Supreme Court's ruling to overturn Roe v. Wade. The protest was held in the old courthouse building and featured guest speakers like U.S. Senate candidate Charles Booker. Organizer Kara Ellis says they want their voices to be heard.
We honestly don't really know how to move forward with action, but we're hoping that a rally brings more awareness, and also that I know that generally when we think about something like that, it affects women, and of course it does, but we want to show that it also affects trans people. It affects many different people from different communities.
Protesters say by organizing their efforts, they can have their voices heard. Kentucky's trigger law immediately banned abortions except when it's needed to save the mother's life or prevent permanent injury. Well, what's stopping someone from simply going to a state that allows abortions? Well, as of right now, nothing. But that might not be the case in the future. Abortion is legal in Indiana up to 20 weeks. So for now, Kentucky women can still cross the river to get an abortion. Governor Andy Beshear and Attorney General Daniel Cameron disagree on Kentucky's trigger law.
There can be strong opinions on something like this, but the trigger law that the General Assembly passed goes way too far. It is an extremist law, and I think almost every Kentuckian would agree that especially victims of violent crime, rape, and incest deserve options.
We must continue to advance and advocate for legislation that stands up for the babies who cannot stand up for themselves. We must commit to defending and implementing those laws. I, for one, will do my part in this role as Attorney General.
Because Kentucky is banning most abortions, many women will have to cross into other states to have the procedure. Indiana still has 3 providers in the state currently. 2 are in Indianapolis. A CBS News YouGov poll conducted in the immediate wake of the ruling found that most Americans reportedly disapprove of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The poll found that 59% of U.S. adults disapprove of the court's decision. Among women, 2/3 disapprove of the ruling. Well, the poll also found that most Americans, 57%, now say they believe it's at least somewhat likely that the Supreme Court will eventually end or limit same-sex marriage. 55% said the court would also likely end or limit access to birth control and contraception. A Lexington Women's Recovery Home is picking up the pieces after a fire damaged its building. The fire started in the kitchen on Friday at the Hope Center's Recovery Center, damaging the freezer and other appliances. Katie Vogel at the Hope Center says that they usually serve about 100 women 3 meals a day out of that kitchen.
There was certainly some tension when I was here last night because people just didn't know quite yet what the implications were going to be from this fire. But I also felt a sense of relief that no one was hurt, that everyone was okay, and that, you know, at that point it's replaceable equipment. All of our clients, all of our staff were unharmed, and we're very thankful for that.
Well, those with the center hope that the community will help by making financial donations or donating canned goods, drinks, or meals. Friday was an extra busy day for firefighters over in Bell County. The volunteer fire department responded to 6 different calls. One was a large fire that brought in crews from other counties as well. Well, they also responded to another fire, an ATV crash, and a single vehicle crash. Fire officials say it was a record-setting day for the calls they responded to. A trail at the Red River Gorge was closed because of a small wildfire. Officials with Wolfe County Search and Rescue say the Shelter We Trace Pincham Tight Trail was closed between Rush Ridge Trail and Rough Trail. Hikers were asked to avoid the area due to the fire. Well, thank you so much for getting your Monday morning started with us here on Mountain News This Morning. When we come back, a man mining gold up in Canada discovers something a bit more rare. We'll have those details in just a few minutes.
After a few lingering showers this morning, things should start to clear out quite nicely by this afternoon. I'll have the latest forecast in about 3 minutes.